Hello, this is Weather Game Man 97 here, and I'm going to do a tutorial, which is a game that I've played recently, a lot of times, which is a game called Frets on Fire X. Now, this game is awesome. Now, this is a Guitar Hero clone, which is based off from the Guitar Hero and Rock Band series. Now they've got a Guitar Hero games for computer, which is Frets on Fire X. Now, it was originally Frets on Fire, which was actually a clone to Guitar Hero. You can get it off this website. But now they've made a clone to Frets on Fire, which is Frets on Fire X. But this game is awesome. It's so cool, and it's probably one of the best Guitar Hero games out there for computer. I mean, it's Frets on Fire and Frets on Fire X is basically the only two Guitar Hero games for the computer. It's available for Linux, Mac, and Windows. So yeah, go to this website at code.google.com/project/FOFIX, and then it takes you to this page. Now, if you're on a Mac, then you should get one of these two files. The only difference in these is PY 2.5 GL2, and this one is PY 2.6 GL3. So I got this version right here, 2.6. So I got it. If you're on a Windows, you could download any of these two. If you're on a Linux, you have to download this. And then there's some other files here. Here's some alpha files for 4.0. And then once you got your Frets on Fire X downloaded, then I got it right here. Now just unzip it, and then drag this into your applications folder. Now, what you'll need to do, this is also a tutorial of how to connect your controllers to work with Frets on Fire X. Now, you can use 4 controllers. This is basically a way big difference big difference than the Frets on Fire. It's like a big improvement. Because Frets on Fire doesn't use four players, it only uses 1. But if you have like mods for it, like the RF mod, it has multiplayer in it, which it has 2 players. But Frets on Fire X has 4 players, which is awesome. So that's why. No, that's not the only thing I love this game. You can get themes for it, and you can play awesome songs like one I created. Yeah. So this is how to get all your controllers working. Now, if you have PS3 controllers, which I'm using them, then you don't have to download or install anything. You don't have to install drivers for it. You just have to plug in your controllers and play. But if you have a 360 controller, you have to use if you're on a Mac, you have to use Gamepad Companion and 360 controllers on your system. It's in your system preferences, basically. Then you have to map all your keys, and then you go into the game and then you play. If you have a Wii controllers, then you're gonna have to use GlovePie. There is a tutorial for how to set up your Wii controllers on a website that I'll post a link. For Mac, you'll have to use like several programs that you'll need to get for Mac, which is a WeTart and a Darwin remote, I think, and a Gamepad Companion and a GlovePie. If you're on a Windows, you can use GlovePie basically. If you're on Linux, you might could use GlovePie. I never used Linux. I just know things from Mac and Windows. If you have PS2 controllers, you're gonna have to buy a PS2 to PS3 adapter. Now they're very cheap in stores, basically off of eBay. They're really cheap. They're like $20. They're like $10 or $15 on eBay. So you could get you can get those for a PS2, PS3 adapter. So you can do that, and that's basically pretty much it. I'm using PS3 controllers, so I'm not gonna. So once you're starting to connect all your controllers, you're gonna have to connect them in an order. Now, you know that player 1 is the guitar controller, basically. I mean, that's the only common thing. So you plug in your guitar first, then drums would be the second player. Then you plug it into your USB device. You plug all these in your USB device on your computer. If you're using a laptop, then you use a laptop. Then you plug in the bass controller with number 3, and then you plug in your mic on your 4th. I'm not using a mic. I'm using a built-in microphone on my computer. So what's the use of using the USB mic? Okay, so once you got all your controllers connected, turn them on. I'm using a PS3, so if your red light's on, that means that your controller's connected. Then I'll launch the game. Now, I'm gonna have to do some display settings, just to let you guys can see. Now, once you set a setting, it has to restart the game for it to apply the changes. Now, once you go to options, go to control settings, and go to new controller, and then type in guitar, or wherever you want to type in, guitar controller, guitar, whatever, guitar, and it should be a standard guitar. And so what you do is take your guitar controller for your first player, then you go down to pick, and then this is default, by the way. We'll change these later throughout. Your pick would be your strum bar, so I would use strum up. For your pick, secondary pick would be your strum bar down, the opposite of up. So you strum down for your secondary pick. Fret 1 would be the green fret. Fret 2 would be the red fret. Fret 3 would be the yellow fret. Fret 4 would be the blue fret. Fret 5 would be the orange fret. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and do all this. You don't have to worry about this, but I'm just gonna just a precaution. If these are disabled, then these are the solo frets basically. So if you have a Rock Band controller, this will work with Guitar Hero and Rock Band controllers. It will also work with a wireless and wired controllers. It'll work with that. So if you use a solo fret controllers on your Rock Band, then you might have to set all these, but If you have a standard guitar, then you don't really need to worry about them, but this is just a precaution. If the solo fret, when you come into a solo, if the solo frets don't work, then you might have to settle these. So you don't have to really worry about that. Move left would, if you have a PS3 controller, you should use the directional pad. If you have an Xbox, you have to use the directional pad. If you have a Wii, then you have to use your D-pad. Move left would moving left. Move right would be your right. Up would be your up. Down would be down. And cancel, I think it would be, you can set any button for cancel, but you know, you could use your PS3 controller, a PS3 button for your, if you have PS3 controllers, you can also use your Xbox button for the cancel button. Then you could use your Wiimote. You can use the minus button for cancel, I guess. The plus button would be the pause. So the start would be your pause button, so you would hold start. You would hold start on your PS3 controller, your Xbox 360 controller, and you would use the plus button on your Wii remote. Star power. Now this is where I get really annoyed. Whenever I tilt it up, it doesn't even do anything. But if you use Gamepad Companion, it would work. But if you don't want to use Gamepad Companion, then you would use your star power button. So select button would be your star power button. So it's set it there. Whammy would be your whammy bar. And then now analogs effects. Now the analog effects, it enables along whammy bar set to the system your controller was designed for, and enables analog SP for the Xbox Explorer controllers. Sets threshold level for activating SP in analog mode. Analog SP sensitivity. Sets the sensitivity for it's star power. I think you would probably sensitivity on here. Analog would be enabled, I think. But when enabled, the highest notes and large note chords are auto played. 2-chord max, you don't really need to worry about that. Now go to controller 1 and set it to your guitar. Now you should have all your controllers working. See, I'm using the strum bar to navigate. Now you can go to test controls. You can go to test controller 1 and test all your controls, see if they're working. So select button, your star power, pick, your whammy, your directional buttons. Now if you use the directional buttons for up and down, normally it's a pick, but if you use it left and right, it should show up on that. But if you use this, it's not going to do any effect. It's not going to do any effect for it, but so yeah, that's the guitar controller. Now you set it up, your guitar controller. Now your controller 2 would be your new drums. Now controller type, it should be drum set for drum. Now let's go to the drums. And now go to drum number 1, and it should be the red pad. Now drum number 1, it would be, if you have cymbals on your drum, then you have to use that. But if you have a 4 drum, like it says, then you have to use drum number 1, which you have to use the right pad. Drum number 2, which would be the yellow pad. Number 2, yellow pad. Drum number 3 would be the blue pad. Blue pad. Drum number 4 would be the green pad. Drum number 4 would be the green pad. Bass drum would be your kick pedal. Now move left. If you have an Xbox or a drum control, Xbox, PS3, or Wii drums, then you have to use the directional pads on your drum. Now you move left. You have to move the left, and then move right, which would be the right. Up, which would be the up. Move down would be the down. And escape would be the select button. Start would be the start button, like your pause button. Your star power, you don't really need to worry about this. There's drum fills in songs that enables it allowed to use star power, so don't really worry about star power button. So I mean, there's no use for that. There's drum fills in some songs that lets you star power. So let's set the controller to type for drums. And let's do the bass guitar. So we'll just name this bass, and it should be a standard guitar. Now, make sure you have all your controllers plugged in at the order. Guitar, which would be the first. Drums would be the second, the bass would be the third, and the fourth would be the microphone. Okay, so this is the bass guitar, which I have extra guitar for the bass, so I would use that. And it should be a standard guitar, and you use pick, and you do the same thing for what you do for the first guitar. So the frets for it. Just a precaution, in case there's any bass solos in some songs. Then move down. Escape would be customize my button. Start would be the pause. Start power would be the just because. Whammy bar would be I'm just okay. Now set your controller 3 to bass and put your new controller, microphone, whatever you want to call it. Now you could plug a microphone in. You would just go to, it would be a standard guitar, and you would go to solo shift guitar, to drum, to analog slide. If you have a slider, you could use that. If you have a microphone, you can plug in your microphone, or if you have a Mac, and then if you have an built-in microphone, I'm using that. You can use that. So on the microphone device, it would be my built-in microphone. Move left I would use the keyboard to work for the microphone. You could use your controller to do the microphone stuff. Cancel, escape. I think I got it down. Tap sensitivity. I think I got all of this. Okay, it's microphone, and go to your test controls. Test all of our controls. See if they're properly working. This is the guitar, number 1. Start button, the select start power button, select button, the directional pads, the whammy bar, strum button. Okay. Got controller 1 working. Drum 1. which would be the. Now it's gonna make sound if you tap it. So it's so drum 1, which would be the red pad. Drum 2 would be the yellow pad. And then drum 3 would be your blue pad. Drum 4 would be the green button. Okay. Select button would be your select button on your drums. Start button would be your start button on your drums. Directional pads working. The bass drum working. Don't worry about star power. There's, like I said, there's drum fills and songs, so you'll have star power. Now the bass guitar, which would be 2, 3, 4, 5. Select star power, whammy bar, pick, and the start button, the select button. So okay, so 1, 2, and 3 work. Now controller 4 is the microphone. Now I can use, see the one I'm speaking right now, the notes is one I'm speaking right now. So I'm using a built-in microphone. You could use a Rock Band microphone to use one, but if you want to use, if you have a Mac, then if you want to use a built-in, use your built-in microphone, that would work. But if you're on a Windows or a Linux, or if you want to use a built-in microphone on Mac, then you would use a USB microphone. So yeah, let's just test this. Okay, got it work. Select, which would be, I think the escape button was the select. The select button, which I don't even know what it was. Left control, I guess. I think so. Oh, that's my start button. Okay, wow. Now, which one was my... So let me just go ahead and edit control. So my start was my escape button, and the cancel would be the output left control. Really don't need to use for. Don't worry about star power. There is vocal sections for star power, so you don't really need to activate star power using a button or something. So yeah. So make sure your menu navigation. If you're using 4 players, you have to use all players. Drum navigation on. If you're using drums, you have to put it on. Key conflicts. So yeah, let's go back to the main menu, and congratulations, you got all your controllers working. So yeah, that is how you connect all your 4 controllers with Threats on Fire X. Now, if you receive a conflict like I have a bunch of times, because I didn't remember, because I didn't know you're supposed to connect them at the right order. If you have conflicts, it's basically if you have conflicts, then basically it's probably your index numbers that are probably not correct. You're supposed to use your controllers in an order, which is guitar, drums, and the bass and the microphone. That's the correct index numbers you're supposed to have. But if you use a drum for number 1, bass for number 2, if you're using a microphone for number 3, or guitar for 4, then the index numbers are wrong, and you're gonna have conflicts. So yeah, that is how you set your controllers. Let me just make sure. Just make sure I have all my controllers correct. Oh crap. No. I was using the escape button just to get out. Let's go to guitar. Sometimes solo fret number 1 is disabled, even though you're setting it to green fret, but like I said, don't worry about solo frets, because if there's solos in songs, there's solos in some songs, so a standard guitar would work with solos. But if you're using a Rock Band controller, then you have to use solo buttons on the Rock Band. If you don't want to use solo buttons on the Rock Band, then you just use your standard keys. So yeah. So bass guitar, let me just check. Always double check. Get to. Come on now. Okay. Microphone. Let's go to left control. Let's change the. Oh, come on. Let me just use left control. Start button would be the escape. Okay, so once you test your controls and everything comes out right, then you could play with all your friends on multiplayer. You could do Frets on Fire X co-op. You can do Rock Band co-op. You can do Guitar Hero co-op. You can do Face Off, Pro Face Off, Party Mode, and I don't know about Battle Mode. I'm pretty sure someone thought about adding Battle Mode in Frets on Fire X, but I'm not sure. So but I bet Battle Mode would probably be in the game in the future. Okay, just exit out of all that. So yeah, that is how to get all your 4 controllers working. Be sure to look at my other videos, and please subscribe. So, like, rate, comment, subscribe. Have a good day.